The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Close your eyes and pull like a dog.
And a new Irish record for Phil Healy, 22.99.
Christy Cooney hands over the Sam Maguire Cup to Graham Canty, Cork All-Ireland champions for the 7th time ever.
Hello and welcome back to the Star Sport podcast. I'm your host Dylan Mangan and I'm joined as always by Star Sport editor Kieran McCarthy. The Star Sport podcast is brought to you in association with our friends at Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, where your bank really does matter. Choose credit union, choose local, choose community. Now, Kieran, the last time we spoke about the Cork men's senior football team on the podcast, we were feeling optimistic. We were looking ahead to a Division 2 campaign, promotion, a distant possibility on the horizon. Now, that was 2 weeks ago, and since then the wheels have started to fall off that promotion push. 2 games, 2 defeats away to both Donegal and Louth, and it leaves John Cleary's team in a really tough spot at the bottom of Division 2. And I ask you, Kieran, what's gone wrong?
It's a nice, easy question to kick off the podcast, Dylan. Sound for that. How long do we have? Can I put it that way? So it's just been a really tough start for the footballers. Like you said, lost away on the road twice. First to Donegal, a bit of a chastising defeat up there, and then a loss to Armagh last weekend. And where that leaves Cork now, I'm looking at the table as we speak. Two rounds in, Cork are bottom of the Division 2 table with the worst scoring difference of -13. They've conceded a combined total of 38 points across the 2 games, and across the 4 divisions, only Waterford and Limerick have conceded more, and both of those teams are rooted to the bottom of Division 3 and Division 4. So it's not pretty reading for Cork fans or the Cork football and management team either. We spoke earlier in the year about promotion was the target for John Cleary's team this year. That was the chat to get up to Division 1. And if that's the barometer that we're going to kind of gauge this league campaign off for, it's been very disappointing so far. We'd have to say that Cork are out of the promotion picture. Well, as good as you look at Armagh and Donegal are both on 4 points already, and Fermanagh are on 3 points. So Cork are 4 points behind the promotion spots, with only 5 games left to play, and 2 of those games are still away from home, including a very tough trip to Fermanagh in the 4th round. So where's it gone wrong? Just Cork are conceding too much. They're not scoring enough. I know that sounds very simplistic. I was talking to John Cleary actually earlier today, and he was making the point to me that Cork haven't had a settled team out there yet, that there's been a lot of chopping and changing with players, and he hopes that in the next run of games, that's 3 games in a row, the Cork will have in successive weekends, that they'll get a settled team there, and that results can follow off the back of that. Then we saw that last year when Cork had a settled team, that they did get the results that they needed, especially in the championship. So hopefully when Cork get players back, the likes of Sean Powter, who's back in training, he's in the mix to feature against Kevin on Saturday week. I think Thomas Clancy is back in training too. Paul Walsh was on the bench against Louth the last day. So you're starting to get fellas back into the panel, strengthen the panel. So hopefully if Cork have that bigger panel to choose from, that John Cleary can get as close to his best 15 as possible out there, and then maybe results will take a turn for the better. But they need to take a turn for the better, and quite quickly, and starting against Kevin on Saturday week.
Yeah, just going back to the Donegal game, I guess going into that game, Cork would have been hoping, I guess, for maybe a draw. A great result would have been a win, but the defeat wasn't, in terms of results alone, the defeat wasn't exactly a surprise. Like, Donegal would have been a lot of people's favourites going into that game. Perhaps the manner of the defeat was something that kind of took the wind out of Cork's sails a little bit. Like, they lost 60% of the turnovers. They didn't really take many shots. Donegal's press really Cork struggled with Donegal's press. So do you think maybe in terms of like an opening game to a league campaign, that could have been the worst possible draw for Cork.
It was the toughest game at the start of the campaign. So it was always going to be a huge ask for Cork to go up to Ballybuffet and come away with a win. Even look back to last year when Donegal were in Division 1, they beat Kerry on the opening day of the campaign up there. So in fact, Jim McGuinness is back in the hot seat in Donegal as well. So everything was kind of pointing towards a Donegal victory that day. And that's what transpired. But I don't think many people could have foreseen a 120 to 2-6 hammering. And that's exactly what it was. Just a really disappointing day for Cork. So that put them on the back foot straight away. And they always knew when the schedule came out that there was 2 away games to kick off the league. So away to Donegal and then the following weekend up to Ardee to play Louth. And that's a place where Cork also lost to Louth last year in the league. But you're thinking, okay, this is a Cork team further down the road than they were this time last year in the league, that they have enough about them to get a win in Ardee, but just wasn't. There's too many mistakes, the concession of soft goals, as John Cleary said, and it just left Cork with another defeat. And the concession of those 2 goals will be a worry for Cork as well, because not only did they concede the 120 against Donegal, but they concede 2-9 then against Louth the following weekend. Like I said, that's a combined 38 points in 2 games. And that's just not good enough at this level. If you're coughing up those types of scores, you're going to win more games, and you're going to lose more games than you're going to win. So Cork have had a very tough start to the campaign. With John Hayes in the podcast kind of previewing the league, and he was saying like ideal situation 4 points, minimum target 2 points for those open 2 games. What we're left with is a Cork team with no points. So it's a disastrous start. You can't sugarcoat it. It's a really poor start to the league. And we're looking at the games coming up, home to Kevin. That is a must-win game. It really is a must-win game for Cork. Then you are away to Fermanagh, then it's home to Kildare, away to Meath, and home to Armagh. And that could be an Armagh team needing a win to clinch promotion up to Division 1. So there's no gimmies there. There's a couple of tough tricks away. So all of a sudden, this game against Kevin, it is must win for Cork. If Cork lose this, we can start talking about relegation trouble, because Cork will be in relegation trouble. Have to beat Kevin, and that's the only game that matters now. Forget about the Taunton Cup or the Sam Maguire Cup or the Munster Championship, whatever's going to happen later in the summer. Right now, the focus has to be on beating Kevin on Saturday week.
Yeah, I think they need to take it one game at a time, really, rather than looking ahead to potential relegation or anything like that. And like, if you look back at last season, I was looking at the league results last year, and like inconsistency and Cork tend to go a little bit hand in hand. Like last year, lost to Meath, beat Kildare, lost to Dublin, beat Limerick, beat Clare, lost to Louth, drew at Derry. So they were a bit up and down last year as well, and it started kind of on a downer this year. But in this week's Southern Star, John Hayes, he must be a very positive man, because he did say that it's not beyond the realms of possibility for Cork to secure wins in any or all of their last 5 games. Now, I personally wouldn't be saying maybe that they'll get 5 wins, but Cork, like it's a realistic possibility for Cork to end, like in 2023, they ended with 3 wins, 1 draw, 3 defeats. Looking at the fixtures, that's a possibility for Cork again. Like, it's not all completely doom and gloom. And I guess, is there anywhere specific they need to improve going forward to make sure they win these games? Because the Louth game, while it was a lot better than the Donegal performance, there was still some worrying signs. You mentioned the concession of those 2 goals. Cork didn't really, I don't think Cork scored in the last 15 minutes of the game. So like the second half really fizzled out for them. So like against Cavan now, is it just a case of kind of bucking themselves up? Or I know John Hayes was also talking about Cork's kick out maybe needing improving as well. And they lost a lot of turnovers against Donegal, like I mentioned earlier. So are those the kind of things that they can look at and try and improve on going into these 3 big games over 3 consecutive weekends?
I think John Hayes has been very positive. He's positive kept on when he was writing this week's column in the Southern Star. But he's right, it's not beyond the realms of possibility for Cork to go and win those next 5 games. Will it happen? Right now, you'd have to say no, it won't. And we're judging that on the form that we've seen Cork in the in the first two games. Like I said, pretty poor, especially the first day. John Cleary is saying that he saw enough against Louth to kind of suggest that there are better days to come. And I think we can all agree that there is huge room for improvement, and that's probably not a bad place to be right now. It's not like Cork are playing their best football and not winning games. This is a Cork team that has huge room for improvement. Go back to the concession of like the combined 38 points. Like that's something that needs to be addressed straight away. Cork cannot keep coughing up scores like that. If they do it, they're not going to win games. Again, John Cleary said after the Louth game, conceding those two softish goals. Again, that's tightened up at the back, but that can tie into then getting the likes of Sean Powder back in, Daniel O'Mahony more game times there. I know Micheál Martin is back in training as well. He had a bit of a groin injury, so maybe he's ready to come back into the fold quite soon. So what Cork need is a settled team, and we saw Cork last year in the championship when they had a settled team. They took out some big guns along the way, so that gives you room for a bit of optimism. It's not to say that we're thinking, oh God, everything is great in Cork football right now. Obviously, it's not. You have to judge them on results, and we have to judge Cork on their promotion bid, which is what, again, like I said at the start of the podcast, that's what John Cleary said. One of the goals for this year is to get promotion to Division 1, and we have to judge Cork's league performances off that. And right now, Cork are well off the pace, so they know themselves they have a lot of room for improvement. That's why I think this Cavan game is quite key, because it's a Cavan game. It's a Cavan team that are going quite well themselves. They only lost to Donegal by 1 point last weekend. And that's the same Donegal that gave Cork a lesson the week before. And this is a Cavan team coming off the back of successive promotions in the league as well. They'll be high in confidence coming down to, must we call it Super Value Park Equive? Is that part of the deal now? Park Equive, the park, Super Value Park Equive, whatever you want to call it. So that's on Saturday week. So that's a huge game. And I think we'll find out a lot more about this Cork team in that game. If they get a win there, that could steady the ship and get to move it in the right direction. But if Cork don't get the result there, then I think tougher conversations are needed to be had.
Yeah, momentum will tell a lot, I think, especially with the games happening over the course of 3 days. So we wait in anticipation to watch that Cork and Cavan game. Hopefully things improve there. Before we move on, just elsewhere in Cork GA, Cork playing Kilkenny this weekend in the Allianz Hurling League. Another Cork team that had a tough result recently with a loss to Clare. That game is on this Saturday evening. And Pat Ryan's hurlers will be hoping to get back on track there. And it's not going terribly well for the ladies footballers either at the moment, Kieran. They sit in 5th place in the Ladies National Football League. Lost to Kerry recently as well. So kind of a little bit doom and gloom for Cork across the board, isn't it?
It wasn't a good bank holiday weekend for Cork teams, the footballers, the hurlers, and the ladies footballers all losing. So to the hurlers first, a disappointing opening game away to Clare, lost 125 to 219. Cork have the chance to get back pointing in the right direction straight away, playing Kilkenny in Páirc Uí Chaoimh this Saturday night at 7:30. And that's a big game for Cork. You'd expect there'll be a big crowd in Páirc Uí Chaoimh for that. Pat Ryan has made 5 changes to the Cork team for this game. So the Downey brothers, Robert and Owen, have come in. So has Tim O'Mahony in defence, while Conor O'Callaghan has been named in midfield, and Noosa Sounds Luke Meade has been named in the half-forward line. So Pat Ryan is certainly shuffling his cards for this game. Like 5 changes, that's 1/3 of the team he's changed for a crunch game against Kilkenny. So much like the footballers, that the hurlers will be hoping that the first game in Páirc Uí Chaoimh will just get the right result and get them pointing in the right direction. Then the Shane Renane's ladies footballers, they have to wait an extra week to try and right the wrong of their bank holiday loss to Kerry down in Tralee. Like, that was a poor performance, and that was quite a poor performance by Cork, and it followed on the home loss to Armagh. So Cork are on 3 points after 3 games, and it leaves them in a spot of bother 2. Next game up is against Waterford on, I think it's Sunday week up in Páirc Uí Ring. and that's a must-win game because Waterford are bottom of the table on no points, and Cork have 3 points. If Cork can get a win there, it'll just push them up the table towards safety. And just for our listeners in ladies football, it's 3 points for a win, whereas in the men's football and hurling, it's 2 points for a win there. And just on the ladies footballers for a second, and I've been chatting to Shane Ronayne this week, it's worth pointing out their over dependence right now on Katie Quirk. She's got 76% of their scores in the league so far. It's Cork are just far too dependent on Katie Quirk for scores, and they know that has to change very fast. There's only been 3 other scorers in the league for Cork in the 3 games so far, and that's Derek Heidi's got 1-1, Simon O'Leary's got 1 point, and Laura Mahoney's got 1 point. And Cork have only scored, they've only scored, I have it here now, I think it's 219 in the league so far, and Katie Quirk has scored 116 of that. So I think if you're trying to hone in an area for the Cork ladies footballers need to improve, they need to take that scoring burden off Katie Quirk and spread it around, because they have one player get over 3/4 of your scores in the league and have only 3 more scorers in 3 games. Again, at this level, it's just not good enough. And again, like the men's footballers and the hurlers, there's a lot of room for improvement. So while the hurlers have a chance this weekend to get back on the horse, the ladies footballers and the men's footballers have to wait an extra week.
Yeah, we'll be watching with anticipation. Like I said earlier, we're going to take a very quick break, and we will be back then to talk about somebody who did have a good bank holiday weekend, and that is Innishannon's Jack Crowley.
The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Welcome back to the Star Sport podcast. Now, Kieran, Jack Crowley's audition as the new number 10 for Ireland went well last Friday night. Well is probably a little bit of an understatement, as they claimed their biggest ever away win in France. They came out on top with a bonus point 38-17 win, and it wasn't a bad start for Crowley at all.
No, he hit the ground running. It wasn't a perfect performance. I suppose we have to say that too. There was a couple of mistakes, especially in the first half. He'll be disappointed with he had a penalty in front of the post that he sent just to the right, and then there was 1 or 2 other decisions. He tried a grubber kick through that didn't work out as well, and so he knows himself that there is room for improvement. But from what we know about Jack Crowley, he's a very confident young man. He's just, nothing seems to faze him. And you can see that throughout the game. Like, he might make a mistake, but it just doesn't bother him. He'll just keep going, and he'll keep trying. And he's a very brave and fearless player in that sense. And you could see in the second half, he just grew into the game. Like, he nailed some conversions from the sideline. And you could see the kind of that look of determination in his face when it was going over. It's like a man who knew that he was at home on the big stage. So his role in Ireland's win in the Stade Velodrome can't be understated. It was an ideal start for him in one sense. It was a good performance, but room for improvement again. But I think the big takeaway is that he just slotted straight in there, and he didn't change his game, as in he's a player who's going to take risks. You know, you can see it. He's a very brave player, and he was doing that in his first Six Nations start on Friday night. So he passed his first test, and now his next test, the Ireland team will be named on Friday. We're presuming and assuming that Jack Crowley will be named at number 10 again. So it's Italy on Sunday at the Aviva. That's going to be quite a different game for Jack. We had Johnny Holland on in this week's Southern Star. He was talking to Sean Holland, and he was making the point that how he was saying that the Italians, he thinks, are going to get in Jack Crowley's face, and that he's going to get caught up in a battle sometimes at the tackle line, and how that Jack's going to take a lot of punishment this weekend. So it'll be interesting to see how he passes this test. But what we know of him so far, you'd have to back Jack Crowley.
Yeah, I think it's probably something that he relishes. Like you mentioned there, like, confident is the word really to describe him when you watch him on the pitch. Like, the things he tries are things that plenty of other 10s maybe wouldn't try. There, if you're a bit more of a risk averse number 10, you wouldn't try it. And I know he missed that kick at early in the game, kind of straight in front of the post, and it went slightly wide. But I remember watching it, and when that kick went wide, I still felt like he was going to have a good game, because it's not like he hooked it to the left. And I think if that was, I think, his first kick in the game, and if it had hooked to the left, it would have felt like a much worse miss, if that makes sense. Like, he hit the ball really well, and it just happened to go wide. And he is somebody who we've seen with Munster as well. He reacts really well to mistakes or to things not going exactly the way they're supposed to. And you say there as well, like, every single kick then pretty much afterwards from the sideline went straight through the posts. And in terms of the Italians kind of roughing him up, I think that's probably something that he'll relish as well. Like, if you look at the way he plays, like, he takes the ball to the line, like, he really holds on to the ball until the last second. He tries to draw tacklers in. So if the Italians are kind of coming after him, that's probably something that he wants, because it means that he can pop the ball to Tygburn like he did in Marseille, and he can run through for a try. So I think that mightn't be a bad thing for Crowley. And another thing, I guess, that's probably important for us to acknowledge is the fact that he is coming into one of the best teams in the world, and the platform they give him to be able to play his own game is brilliant. Like, people like Jameson Gibson Park and the entire kind of pack give him the platform to express himself, which is what he's so good at doing.
Yeah, that Gibson Park was superb against France. Absolutely. Like, and for Jack Crowley to come in alongside such a seasoned international and it's such a class act like Gibson Park, like, it just makes life that bit easier. And you're dead right, Dylan. He's coming into a team that was #1 in the world last year, a team that's beaten the All Blacks, has beaten South Africa in a World Cup and so on. Like, it's a team that it has a great mentality. And Jack, and I suppose the way you can see with the Irish team, what it is that they want to have this kind of situation where the next player up can just slot right into the team. And we saw that the last day. Jack Crowley stepped up and he slotted right in there, and he looked at home. And like I said earlier, I think what's so encouraging is that you just know and feel that there's just more to come from Jack Crowley over the next couple of games, and hopefully the next couple of years as well, because we just can't forget how young he is. He only turned 24 there just a couple of weeks ago. Like, this is a fella who only joined the Munster Academy back in 2020, and now we're in 2024, just a couple of years on, and he's Ireland starting out half in the Six Nations as they have a record win away to France. And it's just his rise has been incredible. And for the likes of Bandon Grammar School, where he went to school, and Bandon Rugby Club, where he learned his trade, like, what a thrill it is for the school, the club, for the coaches, for his former teammates, for his friends, to see one of their own kind of rise to this level. But they also know, Jack, and they know that there's more to come as well. So I think it's very exciting for this Irish team that they're bringing in some of these new players, like, kind of obviously Johnny Sexton's era is over, and now we've Jack Crowley, and he's going to get his chance in this Six Nations. I think what we saw against France, that performance has earned him the right to hold on to that jersey for the rest of this tournament. If he had a very nervy game and it didn't go according to plan, okay, there might be calls. What you do with Jack Crowley, do you stick or twist? But we saw enough the last day. What I think, it's like, you have to give Jack Crowley the Six Nations now. You have to let him find his feet at this level, because, like I said, he's only 24 years of age. He's a long career ahead of him, a very exciting career. He's going to make mistakes. That's all part and parcel of it, but it's how he recovers. So next test up is Italy on Sunday, and hopefully another good day at the office for Jack. And I could be wrong here, Dylan. I don't think Jack has ever lost a game he's played in for Ireland. Of course, it helps that he's won a lot of those games, and Ireland are a winning machine. Well, apart from a World Cup quarter-final, but Ireland are a winning machine. So maybe he's that lucky charm we need.
Yeah, if he keeps that up, it'll be another Grand Slam in the bag for Ireland. That game is on Sunday at 3 o'clock in the Aviva. A little bit closer to home in West Cork here. And this weekend we have the under-21 Carbery Championships. They're at semi-final stage, and you've said before this is one of your one of the best competitions in West Cork, and we're in for a great show this weekend as well.
Yeah, it's always been a super competition, the Under-21 A football championship. We wrote about it in the Star last week, that this new window that they found for it, it's not ideal. It's been played off very, very fast. 3 weekends in February have been allocated for the divisional under-21 football championship. So there's a very kind of blink and you'll miss it feel to it. But so where we're at this weekend with the quarterfinals last weekend, and we saw the champions dethroned. Lucistown are out. Carbery Rangers beat them. So Carbery Rangers will now take on Ivan Gales in a semi-final this Sunday in Bandon at 4 p.m. This is actually a rerun of the semi-final last year that caused so much controversy with what was the full-time score. Then it went to replay and so on. So we've Carbery Rangers and Ivan Gales Bandon 4 o'clock Sunday. While earlier on Sunday, Clonakilty take on Bantry Blues. And Clonakilty had a good win against Donnies last weekend. 66th minute, Keane Ryan point won the day. So 6 minutes into injury time, Clon got the winner. And they take on a Bantry Blues team that won the Carbery Under-21 B late last year. So 2 good semi-finals on Sunday. And just to note as well that we have the Carbery Under-21 B football semi-finals also on Sunday at 12 noon in Ballydehob. It's Cork against Killisle, and then at 3:30 in Clonakilty, you've Donegal and against Ahan Gales. And not to forget the Clone and Milk Under-21 C football semi-finals that are on Saturday. So we've Kilbrittain against Randalogue in Ardfield at 3 p.m, while in Innishannon at 3:30, it's Clonagale against Kilmeen. So we have 6 semi-finals of the various Carbery Under-21 football championships this weekend. So touch wood that the weather gods play ball and that the pitches hold up and that we get these games played, because we're straight into the Under-21 finals the following weekend.
Welcome back to the Star Sport podcast. And Kieran, the Southern Star is in shops and available online right now. So what can listeners look forward to when they pick up their copy, which we know they will?
Of course, it's Friday by the time you listen to this podcast. So if you haven't picked up your Southern Star Sport now, get on it, because it's still a few left on the shelves in the shop. So obviously the Cork footballers, hurlers, lady footballers we talked about earlier, they're all covered in detail, as well as the best coverage of the Carbery Under-21 A football championship with match reports and reaction from all the quarterfinals last weekend. Also, some pieces worth looking out for in this week's Southern Star. The Cahalan family from Castlehaven picked up the Dermot Early Family Award at the GA President's Awards last week, and a huge honour for the Cahalan clan. It's Niall and Eilish, they're both from Castlehaven. They have 7 kids. 6 of them play for Cork senior teams, which is incredible. But this was a great award for the Cahalans. Their contribution to the GA has been second to none. So I actually spoke to James McCarthy, the Castlehaven senior football manager, just about that Cahalan influence in Castlehaven. So that's well worth checking out. Also, we have an interview with Fineen Wycherley, the Munster man who's had a stop-start season so far. He played 78 minutes against the Crusaders in Páirc Uí Chaoimh last weekend, and that was his first start since December. Because after that he suffered a shoulder injury, and that's just knocked him back. But he's had a very, very stop-start season. Before last weekend, he only played in 5 games, so he's just keen to kick on. So we have a good interview there with Fineen Wycherley. Can't let this podcast go without mentioning Keith Cronin. He made an incredible return to the Irish Tarmac Rally Championship last weekend. He won the Galway International Rally last Sunday. It was a 2-day rally. He won it in style. Like, what a return for Keith Cronin. So it was a great win for him. And also the West Cork League, quite busy at the moment. Clonakilty Soccer Club have strengthened their grip at the top of the Premier, but now 11 points clear. While this weekend it's Beamish Cup quarter-final day on Sunday. So plenty for local soccer fans to look forward to. So yeah, plenty of reading in this week's Southern Star.
Yeah, loads there. I'm just going to flag in the main section of the paper as well. We have a 2-page photo spread and the full list of winners from the Southern Star West Cork Business and Tourism Awards, where Fernhill House Hotel in Clonakilty were crowned the overall West Cork Business of the Year. So check that out for a full list of the winners. We have some great photos in there as well. As always, Kieran, if you're further afield, if you can't make it to the shops, you can subscribe to the Southern Star and get it on your laptop, tablet or phone. Just head to subscribe.southernstar.ie, enter your details, and you'll get an exact replica of the newspaper for less than €2 per week, along with full access to our website as well. As always, thanks for listening to the Star Sport podcast, and thanks again to our sponsors at Access Credit Union. If you've enjoyed this, please remember to rate, review and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll be back again next week. Thanks for listening.